This maple pudding cake is actually called Pouding Chômeur, which is a French-Canadian recipe, which translates to poor man's pudding or unemployed man's pudding.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Max 12.
Hello everyone, this recipe is a Canadian recipe. It comes from Quebec and it's called Pouding Chômeur or poor man's pudding. It was created by women who worked in factories during the Depression in Quebec, Canada. With limited access to ingredients, this dessert was the result of necessity. It is a cheap and simple dessert that fed a lot of people. This recipe was suggested by and provided by André, who is Max's super duper extra special best friend. It was in his family for many generations, so he gave it to me to try. In fact, he's actually helping me make this recipe as you're watching right now. The original recipe, because it was for people that didn't have a lot of money, was made with brown sugar and water. But we're doing an upgraded version here that uses maple syrup. So that's 1.5 cups of maple syrup, 3/4 cup of water, and you're going to heat this over high heat just until it comes to a boil. And then you're going to stir in 2 tablespoons butter and just stir until melted, and then set this aside off heat. And now for the cake part. In a large bowl, place 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, 1/3 cup of milk, 1 large egg, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of butter. And then you're going to blend everything together by hand or with an electric mixer until it's nice and smooth, and you'll get a fairly thick batter. Grease an 8x8-inch baking dish and then take that cake batter and spread it into the bottom of the dish. Now you're going to gently take the syrup that you made and pour it on top of the cake batter. Do this gently because you don't want the syrup to completely dissolve that cake batter. You want it to try to keep it intact. And I just used a spoon here just to slow that syrup down a little bit as it was going into the pan. Then I'm going to sprinkle on 1/2 cup of sweetened coconut. Now this is not a traditional ingredient, but it is certainly part of Andre's family recipe, so we're going to add it. 1/2 cup of sweetened coconut. And you'll notice the batter and the syrup are going to switch places. Then you're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 35 minutes until it's golden brown and the cake feels a little bit firm to the touch. Now you'll see that there's 2 distinct layers to this dessert. When it's finished baking, you have a really nice plain but very good cake at the top, and on the bottom is a maple sauce that is super sweet but delicious. This dessert is best served right out of the oven and while it's still warm. I have a couple of other recipes that are truly Canadian on my channel. One are these Nanaimo bars and the other are butter tarts. So if you want to see these recipes, go ahead and click on your screen, and thank you so much for watching.